Testing 1 2. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. This video I'm going to present some of my little papers on space engine mechanics, otherwise known as space granular mechanics, otherwise known as quantum mechanics plus. La 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 la. And there you got an example there in nature as a reflection of this. See that? You got an example there in mitosis. Yeah, I'm gonna have to re-go over this information because it really is really very good. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? I love my work, dude. I just love it. I just totally love it. Here's an entry from quite a long time ago, 2013. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do another grouping of videos because there's still more to do. and I'm telling you, dude, this is just literally the tip of the iceberg. Like, oh, I don't know, I'm just, trying to find employment. Yeah, it's nice working with you, dude. Try and present the information in some sort of logical fashion. Those people are familiar with my work. I shouldn't really have to explain it because it's kind of self-evident. There's a lot more information here about the space granular deltas and the densities and stuff, and some of the symbols that I use. Okay, here's a rough calculation as well. This might help. So those of you fans of my work, dude, doesn't really need much explanation. For those of you like, what the hell am I looking at? It's like so you can see the different symbols used. Suggested different symbols are used for this for work. Some more. Just giving you a flavour for the symbols and terminology that I use. You notice I use sigma omega G to represent matter. As you know, the aggregation of space granules, and I also use it, as you can see there, to represent photons. Any aggregation of space granules, sigma omega G. And here we have the omega G's themselves. The space granules are made of the little fragments. Yeah. So, time is represented by the delta. And energy is the change in the space granules themselves, the degree of that change. this is an interesting point as well. Completely forgotten about all this. With that experiment on the ISS, you get to absolute zero. Weigh an electron. You need to weigh an electron at absolute zero. Forgot the reason why. Like, electrons are smallest portions of matter, so just present the information at the moment with no particular explanation. You can study it later if you obviously study it later. I think I was trying to work out the size and the weight. See that? So when we get to absolute zero in the ISS, which I'm confident we will. By the way, there's a £1.5 million bet on that. If we can weigh the electron at absolute zero, that would be very important knowledge. Just some very rough sketches. Very rough sketches indeed. Very rough. Okay. Try and ascertain the number of space granules in an electron, for example, and determine its attributes. I did actually make a calculation prior to this, quite a while ago. I'll have to try and find that information. Associated change in the space granular density. So the space granular density relates to energy, just from that, based on the idea of the change in the size of the particle. Okay. The faster the space granules become, the slower the internal clocks run. That's just classical relativity. But translating it and putting it into SEM. Some temps there. Very important work. As I say, we get to absolute zero. I guess you could actually approximate it with the data we've already acquired. With you know, near absolute zero. But if we can get to absolute zero, as I say, that will, I think, would be absolutely conclusive evidence that the gravity is really the motion of space granules. Here's me trying to attempting to create an equation for space granules. They represent the same thing. Actually, I think I did actually make a differentiation between putting the delta on the left or putting it on the right. It has a slightly different meaning if you put it on the left or the right. Sorry. Say E equals mc squared is not actually quite correct. You get the subtlety of that. Yeah? It's not actually a good enough definition. No. E equals mc squared is not a good enough definition. Some more symbology. I'm gonna have to re-go over all my theories and ideas. Here's an idea for the neutrino. We could use it to transmit energy like electricity, you know. Because neutrinos don't interact with anything, you could have a direct path between point A and point B, and literally transfer energy that way, with very little interference with the matter in between. So you could get rid of electric pylons. The particle of energy transference is the neutrino. Oh, hold on a minute. I'm awfully sorry. I'm having terrible difficulties with my mind at the moment. There's an anti-neutrino as well. So when the neutrinos come in, they could interact with the anti-neutrino to produce, particles that we can use to create electricity from. Very simple idea. What's this? But that is a great practical use of a particle, the neutrino. You think to yourself, what practical use is a particle that hardly interacts with anything? Well, there you are, right there. You know. Chemical reactions are atomic envelope space granular reconfigs. That's all they are. Okay. whoever said what they just said, would you please show me some respect? Right, there is a little bit more to go. There is much more. I'm gonna go and get something to eat now. But there is there's still a lot more to do. And the fusion reactor is reactor is a good thing. Yeah, fusion reactors I think are going to be important. Yeah. Just let me go through this. Okay, just a few more pages to go. I can't remember why I included the cathode ray tube, but anyway. Alright, there's your classical QM double slit experiment. Okay. I'm just going to go and get something to eat now. It'll take you some time to read all this, analyze it, think of it, think about it, try to understand it. It's pretty straightforward, really. Coming on to the fusion reactor ideas and thoughts. Of course, you can play this with or without my commentary. But there's a lot of information, as you can see, ideas that I'm playing with, thinking about. Okay. See that bit there? Right. Okay. Yeah, that last bit about sending pneuma through the plasma furnace, it's don't know how you feel about that. Okay, and then here's me going on about I think Peter Higgs is wrong, half wrong basically. I agree with the field, but I think he's got it the wrong way round. Particles don't make space. Space makes particles. As you can see, particles are made from space. So we've got it the wrong way round. Dark matter, different density of space. Okay. So lots of beautiful ideas. Beautiful ideas. Lots and lots of beautiful ideas. And as I say, we're preparing humanity for hypercomplexity. As I say, we already think we've sort of entered the hypercomplex era. which in my opinion as well is that when somebody dies, a human or an organic life form dies, it goes from hypercomplex to just complex, returning to sort of like a crystalline state. So it's an aspect of the so that diagram there is associated with this commentary here. Okay, so lots and lots of beautiful little ideas all coming together to form what I call, as I say, spacing and mechanics. I may as well just keep on going, there's not much left. I gotta go. I want to go and get something to eat now. That's some of my early work there in the sub-Q field layer. Connects 3D. I tried to figure out what that the sub-Q layer was, and I came to realise and understand it was really the permeation, the explanation, the understanding of that was the permeation of space with the fragments, you know, the filaments passing through space. Interesting point that the space granules can form like a fluid. Yep. So it's really important work. Really important, but I'm just putting it out there just for people, because people are interested, dude, and that bit wasn't relevant. People are interested, so you know. Here's how to create a photon, or one way of doing it anyway, splitting an electron. Creating a sub-electron. Don't know whether a sub-electron is actually would qualify as a photon. We'll have to find out. Okay, and there's something on isolation technology, yes. Essentially time travel. This is something I really wanted to get on with, wanted to do. Something that prevents the space granules flowing. And obviously to come out of that, it's very similar to the normalized space energy shell. So traveling at the speed of light and time travel, obviously related projects, related technology, see that? All to come. And as I say, it's just the top of my head, dude. It's like I've not really even give it tremendous amount of thought, to be honest with you, because I've been so tied up with just trying to get out of poverty. And other people obviously taking these ideas and running with it, you know, and making use and developing them. So I'm perfectly fine with that. You guys want to, you know, and run through the supercomputers and stuff. But I obviously still want the credit for it, you know. If you have a universe, it creates eventually space will create photons, matter, and eventually life. Okay. There's something called a maser, matter amplification by the stimulated emission of, and I can't even read my own writing on that one. Anyway, there it is. Of radiation. Is it radiation? No, it's not. But you get the point. See that? Electric field, photons come in. It's basically the way to materialize stuff. Another way of doing it, plasma reactor, cooling, produce atom. Easy peasy. You've seen this little diagram before. I did it on a previous video. As you can see, the rate of the change of activity, or the change in the activity, obviously changes as you go smaller and smaller and smaller, but I think it's going to conform to this sort of shape. If you graph it, I think it would be like that. So as you go smaller and smaller and smaller, you get more and more activity, and then smaller and smaller and smaller, you get less and less activity. See, so the activity is going to group itself around a central point there, as you can see. Here's the let's see, I think that is a space granule. N fragments making a space granule, yeah. And how to mathematically model multiple time scales. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about there will understand that. It's a scale, okay? Like gears. If you want to mathematically model something like that, then you'd have to have it. Final points. These are just some papers that I've written, just some ideas. I say a lot of it is already on my Facebook page. Here's the periodic table of elements, individual space granular grouping aggregations that the universe likes. These are natural space granular groupings, and as I say, wants to create a non-natural space granular grouping so that we get, like, you know, elements forming between the natural elements. So the non-natural engineered elements, we'd be able to create non-natural space granular aggregations. Right. I mentioned this in a previous video. I'm just reiterating. Okay. Different from the idea of nuclear chemistry. See that? But the universe may not necessarily like non-natural space granular groupings like quarks, as I was saying the other day on one of the videos recently. So we'll have to see if what the score is on that, and see how we're going to compute that, make that a reality. Sorry, just dealing with something right now. Carrying on the same theme with the elements. Space aggregates into 100 plus elements naturally. This is real cutting-edge, state-of-the-art scientific inquiry, or at least theorizing anyway. Theorizing. Based on data, you know, coming up with theories and ideas. I'm very, very confident as to success of my theories. Theory and theories. Because of course there's not just one theory I'm working on quite a few of them. That's right. Right here. Okay, so a lot of this stuff that I'm presenting today has actually been on the my Facebook page. All you got to do is scan through it all. There's a lot of other stuff that I've put up there, but there's a lot of science mixed in all of that as well. So if you just scan through it, looking for the sciencey bits, you know, if you're interested in, as I say, you're interested in science, interested in new theories and ideas, this is what I'm presenting to the world as space energy mechanics, as you know. Otherwise known as space granular mechanics and quantum mechanics plus. It's a theory of everything. And people literally go nuts, dude. I'm not joking. They flip and go absolutely bazonkers over stuff, and you know, it's understandable because, you know, it's very, very important knowledge. But once the knowledge is known, it's known, right? So, yeah. So anyway, that's just a little tiny smatting, a little tiny bit. A little tiny bit of me space and mechanics. I've not even, just some fragment, just ideas, just loosely associated, and I've not even really got round to actually putting a coherent thing together as yet. Right, I suppose I should really, shouldn't I? But there's some ideas there for people to mull over and chew over and think about, and you know, try to develop and adapt. I know people probably work on their own theories and stuff. People still think, you know, the string theory is relevant, and I think a modified string theory is probably relevant. You know, I call it fragment theory and edge theory, as you know, and I think really that the strings are, in the mathematical theory of string theory, are the edges of the space granular, the edges of the atomic envelope. That's really what the strings are, I think, or possibly within the particles. Yeah, so it's that sort of, you know, it might be, you know, along that sort of line. So anyway, I'm gonna go and get something to eat now. This is another video for people to check out and look at, enjoy if you like, you know, because I love this sort of knowledge. I love creating new knowledge and new ideas and thoughts, and it stimulates thinking, and it's all good for the planet, good for for knowledge creation, and for the progression of humanity, which is what it's really all about, isn't it? You know, I appreciate we've got to keep the construct in good order as well. So, to the constructors and managers, and also to the knowledge and the scientists and the engineers, you know, and all together, planet Earth, we're gonna solve it, dude, for real. Anyway, going for something to eat. Ciao.